Welcome, beautiful soul family. It's Annette, aka Shorty Love, and I am back with a light language transmission to help us to heal and release any insecure attachment styles and develop a much more secure attachment style, or a much more secure way of being within ourselves and therefore being in other relationships with others. So in order to be able to heal from these types of attachment styles, we first have to understand the meaning behind them, where they stem from, how they were formed, where we actually develop these attachment styles. And according to research, it's at infancy, it's at the very beginning stages of your life that you develop your attachment style. So within the first couple of days that you've opened your eyes to a year, you develop your attachment style in that period of time, depending upon how your relationship was with your primary caregivers. So in infancy, obviously, your attachment style is dependent upon your caregivers, but as you grow older and older, your other relationships, your romantic relationships, your friendships, your peer groups, your co-workers, these can all have an impact on your attachment style as well. So depending on whether you've been betrayed, you've experienced things like infidelity, you've experienced things like lies and deceit, manipulation, people treating you badly, people just doing you wrong, people stabbing you in the back, things like this can also impact your attachment style. So based on the attachment theory, there are a couple of different attachment styles that we are going to work through today, and that I'm going to bring through light codes for, that we can really utilize to help us to transmute these old energies and step into a more empowered state of being. So I will be delivering each transmission after I have spoken about the particular attachment style. And when it comes to healing and purifying yourself of these attachment styles and becoming more safe and secure, becoming more stable, feeling more of a coexistence and unity consciousness within yourself, the very first thing to healing is identifying the attachment style. And to be able to identify it, you need to actually know what it is. So we're going to go into that now. The very first attachment style that we're going to cover is secure attachment. So this is referring to the ability to form secure and loving relationships with others because you have a secure and loving relationship with yourself. Remember, everything on the outside is just mirroring how we feel about ourselves inwardly. So even if we're experiencing turbulence on the outer reality, and we might project that turbulence completely onto the people or the situations surrounding us that are causing the discomfort within us, we have to understand that they are just mirrors. They are just reflecting back to us the aspects of us that have discomfort going on within us, right? So it's always something to be grateful for, rather than blaming and judging, rather than projecting everything onto the outer reality. We need to go inwards and deal with what's happening inside in order to make the outer reality reflect back to us how we are feeling within. So if we're balanced, if we're harmonious, if we're feeling at one, if we're aligned, if we're feeling connected to source energy and the divine, we're going to see that outwardly in everything we look at. We're going to see the love, the oneness, the unity, the prosperity, the abundance, the high vibrations in everything that we see. And you're going to be able to see clearly as well. So a securely attached person, you can trust others. You feel like you can be trusted. So you're a very trustworthy person. You trust in yourself. You trust in the divine. You accept love, you embrace love, you are open to giving and receiving love, you are open to giving and receiving abundance, so you have a very healthy sense of mutual exchange of energy. You understand, most likely, the laws of energy, the laws of attraction, the laws of exchange. And even if you don't understand them on, an intellectual level, on a logical level, because you maybe haven't read about it or you haven't, gone into research about it, but you already embody those aspects within yourself in your day-to-day reality, in your day-to-day life. You are most likely not afraid of intimacy, so you can get intimate with yourself and others. You have the ability to be honest with yourself, and because you have that level of intimacy and vulnerability with yourself, you're able to be vulnerable and intimate with others. you know healthy boundaries, you have a sense of healthy boundaries because you understand your own needs. And you don't feel stressed or anxious, you don't feel tense or panicked when people spend time away from you. Say, for example, you're in a relationship, you don't feel distressed if your partner is spending time apart from you. You understand the need for space. You understand that each person needs their time, their space, their own zone to be able to create their own energy field and maintain that energy field. So it's almost like you have a certain level of respect towards others and their need for time and solitude because you have that respect for yourself, for your own need for time and solitude. You have an ability to depend on others and you are dependable towards others, but you're not totally dependent on other people. So you have a sense of independence. You know who you are, you know what you want out of life, but you can actually accept things from others without avoiding it, without rejecting it, without pushing it away, without self-sabotaging. Anytime somebody offers you help, anytime somebody offers you a gift or offers you something that you need, you're able to receive it with ease and grace and happiness because you understand that in giving, people are gifting you something. In giving, you're allowing somebody else to embrace that aspect of themselves and feel good about themselves for knowing that they have been able to assist somebody else. It's a really euphoric feeling when we give and we're received with love and we're received with arms wide open. We're really embraced in that moment. And to be able to develop a secure attachment style, we must be able to embrace ourselves in that way. Give with love and receive with love. And when we can embody those qualities and traits within ourselves, when we can value ourselves in that way, when we understand our worth, when we can become more confident and courageous in who we are and understanding who we are, then we can develop a much more secure attachment style. So somebody with a secure attachment usually is someone who had caregivers that were very responsive and attuned to their needs as a child. Extremely attuned to their needs. So where your parents or your foster parents or your uncles and aunties or your brothers and sisters or your grandparents or whoever it was that took care of you, they were so tuned to your needs. They were so tuned to understanding your body language, to understanding your discomfort, to being present for you, to loving you and nurturing you, embracing you, looking after you, making sure that you had what you needed when you needed it, making sure they were present. They were really there for you. They were present in each moment and you felt the presence because when you're an infant, you feel everything on an energetic level. Even when you're in the womb, you're feeling and absorbing everything. So as you come into this world, you can really feel if a person is tuned in, if they're attuned to you or not. And usually the only time they can truly be attuned to you is if they are tuned into themselves, if they are tuned into their own source connection. Therefore, they can actually be present with you because they are present in the moment. So a secure attachment style is a very healthy way to be. You're feeling secure, you are able to allow others to be themselves, you are able to be yourself. And about 56% of adults, according to research, have a secure attachment type, which is a pretty good portion of adults, I would say. And that can also come from healing your inner child. So if you feel like you do have insecure attachment styles, which we will go into shortly, it's okay, fam. We've all had that, especially if you've had inner child wounding, if you've been traumatized, if you've had PTSD and CPTSD, if you've had anxiousness, if you feel tension in your body, if you feel nervousness within yourself, if you've had a sort of up and down upbringing, if you were in turmoil, if you were in sort of chaotic environments, then you would have had insecure attachment styles, or maybe you still have certain aspects of that show up from time to time. And I can definitely say through my own healing process that you can heal and you can keep it real with yourself and you can develop a much more secure attachment style. And it comes through self-love, it comes through self-acceptance, it comes through building your self-worth and your self-esteem, through looking after and loving yourself and putting yourself first, caring for yourself and nurturing yourself and making sure that your needs are met, making sure that you know what your needs are. And sometimes in order to know what you want and what you need to say it out loud. You need to talk to somebody about it. You might need to journal about it and write it down so you can see it in front of your face. You might need to sit with yourself for a moment and just ask yourself, look at yourself in the mirror and be like, what do I need? What do I need from myself? And what do I need from my relationships in order for me to have healthy relationships? In order for me to have a healthy relationship with others, I must have a healthy relationship with myself first. So starting with self first is amazing, because as you begin to love yourself, your needs are going to change. When you don't love yourself, you might need the validation, you might need the external approval, you might need other people to act and behave in a certain way for you to feel good about yourself. But when you do begin to love yourself, a lot of those needs fade away, because you start to validate yourself, you start to approve of yourself, you start to be the person that you always needed. And therefore, your needs from the outside world change. So you may just need people to be emotionally supportive. You may just need somebody who you can talk to, somebody who listens, somebody who you can have a conversation with. You may need somebody who loves you unconditionally as you are and accepts you for who you are. There may be a need for you to be able to walk your path, walk your spiritual path, and have a certain level of space, solitude, and freedom. So you might need somebody to respect that. And the only way to get someone to respect that on the outer reality is for you to respect those aspects of yourself internally and be the first one. Be the first one to be the one for yourself. When you become the one, that automatically mirrors outwardly. You attract the one. So this particular light language that I'm about to bring through for secure attachment style is going to be to help you to come into a more secure attachment style, to help you to develop that self-worth, self-esteem, self-love, to help you to really be the person that you need to become the one for yourself, so that you can attract that in every relationship that you have in the outer reality. And it's also going to be to help you to strengthen the secure attachment style within yourself, so that you don't feel the need to depend on others, overly depend on others, or need the validation or source of approval or any source of supply from anybody else, because you know you can come back to yourself at any point in time and you can seek that source of supply from within. You can seek that source of energy from the divine, from the Most High, and that supply is never ending. That supply is infinite, it's eternal. You'll never run out of it, which is a beautiful thing, because when you're seeking from human beings to be that source of supply, that source of validation, that source of happiness, it's going to run out eventually, fam. It's inevitable, because not everybody can be 100% happy and joyful and cheerful and high vibrational 24/7 of the time. You cannot expect this from others, because we can't even expect that from ourselves. We should respect our emotional states of being. We should respect our emotional guidance system and the indicators and the ups and downs that we have in life, because those are the exact experiences that we need to continue to grow and evolve and expand as a species, as a human being, as a race of people. So it's very important for us to just continue to heal the aspects of ourselves that are keeping us out of alignment with feeling safe and secure within our own bodies, with feeling safe and secure on this planet, with feeling safe and secure in our surroundings, so that we can feel free to be ourselves at all times. We can feel free to speak our truth, to say what's really on our mind, to speak and sing and love and live and dance with an open heart. A lot of that will remove any anxiety or tension that you're holding in your body. The only time you feel tense or anxious or nervous or just like you're in a rush is when you're not living your life and expressing yourself with an open heart. When you close your heart, when you close your truth, when you try to be something that you're not, you will always feel anxious, because your soul will be suffocating. When your soul feels suffocated, you get anxiety. It's the best way for your body and your sophisticated intelligence system to tell you that something is off, that you're not being true to yourself, that you're not being honest with yourself, and therefore you're unable to be honest with others. So when you're able to really listen to that guidance system and listen to that anxiety and say, okay, something is off, I'm repressing my soul in some way here, and I'm oppressing myself in some way here, then you can start to slowly chip away and slowly heal those energies one by one, layer by layer, one step at a time. All those layers that we have put on top, all the anxiousness, all the masks that we've worn in order to fit into different social groups or different work environments or different schooling systems, or anywhere, any type of community that you try to fit into, all the different layers that we've added on. As we start to shed those layers, we're able to reveal more of our true authentic selves. And as we reveal more of our true authentic selves, then we can really begin to live from the heart. And when you live from the heart, you're happy, fam. You're joyous in general. It's easier for you to be around other people, and it's easier for other people to be around you, because you're just being you. You're being honest. You're being open. Your heart is open. It's easier for people to feel the love between you, because your hearts aren't caged away and trapped away and feeling like they can't be exposed, but they're fully exposed, and they're fully able to provide the kind of electromagnetic field around you and your surroundings that's able to amplify more of the love vibration. And the love vibration, as we all know, is very close to gratitude and bliss and very high vibrational frequency. Love itself, the vibration of love, the vibration of gratitude, the vibration of bliss, can heal you from ailments and diseases that no amount of medication, no amount of seeking outward help, going to the doctors, running around to the hospitals can fix. Love is the answer. Love is the key. So with that said, I'm going to deliver the light language transmission for secure attachment style. Simply open up to receiving this. Take a deep breath in. Allow your vessel to open up. Allow your body to be free of all tension, anxiety, worry, stress, all sabotage, all rejection and abandonment wounds. Just allow it to be cleansed and purified away. Every time you exhale, just envision those things leaving your body. They no longer serve you. They have served their purpose. They have done a great job up until now. So we must thank them and acknowledge them and be grateful for those experiences, those emotions, those energies. And now they have served their purpose, and now it is time for you to step into your power and radiate the beam of your light. Let's begin.
Heria tatatash duro nurura tatarate to kunuro tatastara katoria tatateke shiuro nakatara tatekata hoya tatoshno nura tatate takarata tasuru tutu nuruti tarata tahina tatashtu horia tatanara kate sera katahana tatrakato shuru guru tikitira tatutush tira tatahanakrat to kosturu tutu horia tatakatarato shunara katati katato hunurukutu turukutu stira katata katarato su.
You are safe to embody your true authentic self. It is safe for you to be in your body. You can trust yourself now. Believe in yourself. Embrace yourself. You are a child of the universe. You are eternally loved by the divine. Embody your innocence. Embody your purity. There is no shame in being who you are. Accept yourself as you are. Acknowledge yourself as you are. Appreciate yourself as you are.
Show up as you are.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So the next type of attachment style that we're going to get into is anxious attachment. So all of the following that I'm about to speak about are insecure attachment styles. So anxious attachment style is a form of insecure attachment where you have a deep fear of abandonment. So maybe you were abandoned as a child, maybe you felt abandoned, maybe you weren't literally abandoned, but you as a child may have felt like you were abandoned. And you might be very insecure about your relationships. You might feel insecure about your romantic relationships in general, any relationships and friendships that you have, your relationships to your family. You might worry that people will leave you, people will abandon you again or reject you for being yourself, and therefore you're always seeking validation, always seeking external validation. You might feel like you need to be overly needy, or you have clingy behavior. You represent clingy behavior in the things that you do. So when your partner or other people are trying to go somewhere or be by themselves, or they need solitude, they need some space, they need some time apart, you might cling to them. You might make them feel like you need them in order to survive in some way, shape or form. And it can really make the other person or the other people feel suffocated to some degree, because there's not enough space in between you that has a healthy flow of energy. So the mutual exchange becomes more of just like an energy vampirism kind of an energy, because you're constantly clinging on to somebody outside of you for your sense of validation, for your sense of self-worth, for your sense of happiness. You feel like you need somebody else or some other people to act in a certain way, behave in a certain way in order for you to feel safe and secure in their presence. So an example of this is when you text someone and they don't text you back immediately, you start to feel abandoned. You start to feel like something's wrong, something's not right. And it could just simply mean that the person's just not on their phone, or they're not spending time with their phone, or they're not anywhere near it, or they're just doing life, they're just living, they're just doing what they need to do. But in that moment, it could trigger your childhood wounding, it can trigger your abandonment wounds and make you feel like your partner doesn't love you. Your partner doesn't care about you. Your friends don't care about you. Your parents don't love you. The people that you're surrounded with don't really give a shit, And so it's also known as anxious preoccupied attachment, and it really aligns with anxious ambivalent attachment style, or anxious resistant attachment style, which is about 90% of adults have this attachment style, and it stems from caregivers being inconsistent and unpredictable. So whenever it comes to affection, if your caregivers were inconsistent, if they were unpredictable, where sometimes they were really involved, they were overly emotional, they were overly affectionate, and they really showed up and they were really there for you, and then sometimes they were just completely withdrawn. So intermittently, they were just withdrawn. They would withdraw their love, they would give you silent treatment. There was a really random, unpredictable nature to your caregivers, so you didn't know what kind of mood they would be in that day. And that can be extremely traumatizing for a child to experience one moment having so much love, having so much affection, and then the next minute having it completely taken away from you, having it completely stripped from you, and not knowing if your parent was going to be loving that day and supportive that day, or if they were going to be angry and aggressive towards you that day, or if they were going to be abusive even in some cases. So sometimes that leads children to become distant as well. It's literally like a pendulum between your caregivers being emotionally available or completely distant. And that makes children feel anxious about their future. It makes children feel anxious in the moment because they're not sure how to approach their caregivers. They might not be able to approach people in future, so their relationships and anything where there's controversial issues, they might shy away from those things because they're anxious about speaking their truth. They're anxious about saying how they feel because they felt like their needs might not be met that day. They're not sure. If the parent wasn't in a good mood that day, they might not have been met. And on the days that they were in a good mood, their needs may have been met. So they're always in this state of sort of almost like cognitive dissonance, being on a pendulum, not knowing which side it's going to swing on. So in your future relationships, this can come off as you becoming the unpredictable person, you being overly sensitive, overly emotional, overly affectionate, but then sometimes being completely silent and removing your love, being distant, being cold, being in your own world, taking too much time to yourself to the point where you've completely isolated other people. So this can manifest in so many different ways, and definitely I would recommend to help yourself through this. Start to love yourself more, fam. Start to value yourself more. Start to do more of the things that you do like to do and that make you feel good in your body. Start to align with your body through yogic practices, through quantum healing practices, through breathwork, pranayama practices, through really bringing the left and right hemispheres of the brain together, bringing yourself into self-union, your masculine and feminine energies into divine union. That's really going to assist you, fam, and affirming positive affirmations to yourself on a daily basis. If it seems really far-fetched, then start off with general statements like, I deserve to be valued because I am human. And slowly start off with the general statements, because maybe in the beginning saying things like, I love myself, I am beautiful, I am valuable, it might not resonate with you when you are still in a much more insecure attachment style. Once you get into a secure attachment style, you can say those things to yourself without any hesitation because you've developed that sense of security within yourself. But when you're still operating in an insecure attachment style and you're in an anxious form of attachment, as I said at the beginning, your anxiousness is coming from your soul feeling repressed. So maybe at times your parents were really supportive, they were there for you, so you felt like you could be yourself, so you were dancing around and prancing around and you were out there and you were extroverted. But then other times when they would turn their back on you, or they would give you silent treatment, or they would be really withdrawn and distant from you, you would suppress yourself, you would repress yourself, you would begin to dim your light, and that was making you really, really anxious. You started to feel like you had to cage yourself in, you had to box yourself in. And so I would suggest to start doing things out of your comfort zone. Start to do things that get you out of that box. Start to do things that get you into a state of balance with your introvert and extrovert, because I think we all have a little bit of all of it, and it's just a matter of tapping into each of those dimensions of ourselves and not keeping ourselves constipated in one corner and saying, I'm an introvert, or I'm an extrovert, or I'm an ambivert, or I'm an anyvert. Just be, just let yourself be and experience whatever you feel in that moment without giving yourself labels. I know there are times when I'm super extroverted, there are some times when I'm super introverted, and there are times when I'm a really nice balance of both, and I just let myself enjoy all of it. And the more you can let yourself enjoy all of the different shades and shapes and dimensions of yourself, the more you feel good about yourself, the more you become secure within yourself, and the less anxious you are. So I'm going to deliver the light language transmission now for anxious attachment style to help you to relieve yourself of this anxiety, to help you to relieve yourself of feeling like you're on a pendulum and you don't know how to address issues, you don't know how to have healthy boundaries. You fear having healthy boundaries because you fear that maybe if I put up a boundary, that any relationship that I do have now with my partner or with my friends or with my family might be taken away from me just as quickly as it came into my life. So it's time to release yourself of that fear, of that neediness, of that clinginess, of clinging and attaching to something because you're afraid it's going to leave you. Allow things to come as they come. Allow things to go as they go. Live freely. Live and let live. Allow yourself to be a free being. Open up your heart again. Heal your heart, fam. Heal those inner child wounds. The more inner child wound clearing that you can do, the more codependency clearings that you can do, the more clearings that resonate with you, that help you to release your anxiety, the more it's going to help you to develop that holistic approach to healing from anxious attachment style. Let's begin.
Indiarata Suryat Unjiri Dinarata Tek Arato Shuryat Dinarata Efsiriar Tarat Unshiriata Tekterio Eriniri Niriatarakuto Shuryat Dira Nana Tres Jarakato Turia Nenarat Tosje Herianat Are Tarakat Ushnirira Naras Eteret Ushju Neret Takatarato Haryana katireta toru tutru tushtirata teketirya nanereta teseri atratata shuru tuturu trutushti iriti tireterata satutu you are safe and loved. Furitutushtu shurinyarata just the way you are. Treteshnireta tretesheteratutu. Uritututorikitirieta teshireta tatarata turu tututu. Tredi treta sanarate trata tuturitu. You are held safely in the womb of Mother Earth. Connect to this knowing. Strengthen your Earth star. Another niretata, retete siriakata, urita o niretita ratakoshuru kotunurutate. Diretata, traktese, hariatata, anadaritasa, you are coming back to yourself. Treteji, niretata, treteshi, celebrate yourself. Treteshiti, treteshitratata, celebrate this moment. Treteshiti, tretitra of divine healing. Treteshiri, tretrakata, saratata of soul liberation. Tre siriatata, ratata, nuritate, kata, hariata, has, jarata. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The next form of insecure attachment style is avoidant attachment style, which is mainly derived by a fear of intimacy. So feeling a fear of being vulnerable, feeling a fear of being intimate, and you completely tend to avoid getting close to people, and you have trouble in getting close to people or trusting other people. And this, again, it's about your intimacy and vulnerability with yourself. So if you're afraid to be intimate with yourself, if you're afraid to be vulnerable and honest and open with yourself, if you're afraid to trust yourself, you have a fear of trusting yourself, and therefore you're always seeking outward validation, or you're always seeking a second opinion from the outside because you don't trust what you're saying inwardly. You don't trust yourself because your heart is still closed in some way. Your heart is still encapsulated. When your heart is open and flourishing and thriving, when your heart chakra is operating in full balance, harmony, and alignment with your highest self, you trust yourself on all levels because your emotional guidance system is so strong, your key indicator systems are so strong, your chakras are all working in complete alignment that there is no dissonance in that moment. There is just complete faith, complete trust, complete restoration, complete knowing, complete alignment. So if you're not feeling that way, if you're feeling like your heart has been suppressed, like your heart is caged away, it's been locked up, then you may experience avoidant attachment style, and you may even avoid yourself. You may avoid your own feelings. You may run from feelings of intimacy, from feelings of love. You may run whenever you feel like you're getting too close to somebody. You may start to feel like you're suffocated. In relationships, you may feel suffocated by being around people for too long. And you might want to maintain a distance from people in general. You might want to be distant from your partners, distant from your family members, distant from your friends. You may feel like you literally need more than arm's length just to be able to breathe. And so you may become very emotionally unavailable to the people around you in your romantic partnerships, in your friendships. And it's because an aspect of you is emotionally unavailable to yourself. So you're heavily
independent. You're so independent to the point where it's unhealthy almost, because you isolate others, you shut other people out. You're not really coexisting. And on this planet, as a species, as we're healing, we are learning to coexist. It's great to be independent, fam. In so many areas of your life, you need to be independent. But you still need to have a healthy sense of being able to receive from others, so that you're not always the person who's just giving, and you're not able to receive. Or you're not working yourself so hard to the point where you feel like you can't ask for help from somebody else. We're all here to help each other. We're all here. It's an ecosystem. It's the cycle of life. It's the circle of life. And we need to be able to receive just as much as we give. And it's great for us to be independent, but if we can independently coexist, then we can really begin to experience the fruitfulness of what it means to come together. It's so enriching. It's so enriching to be in a group, to feel part of something bigger than ourselves. That's why as humans we've always felt the need to have tribes and communities and social groups and gatherings and whatever not. And it's great to have that as well. That's an outward expression of your internal self-union. It's an outward expression of being in union with yourself. Then you can go anywhere, in any environment, in any shopping center, in any place, in any group of people, in any community, and you can sit there and you can still feel at one with everything. Even if you know that you're not on the same wavelength, you're on different wavelengths and everybody is where they are, you accept that. You accept and acknowledge everybody for where they're at, because you accept and acknowledge yourself for where you're at. You're not avoiding yourself anymore. You're being there for yourself. So avoidant attachment can also be labeled as dismissive avoidant. So again, it's like dismissing others, dismissing yourself, dismissing important subjects and not wanting to deal with them, to avoid conflict, to avoid the contrast. It also aligns with anxious avoidant attachment styles. So that's when the anxious attachment style and the avoidant attachment styles are pretty much one, right? So you're experiencing both types of attachment styles. And this is generally observed among 25% of adults that have the avoidant attachment style, and they kind of just go off and do their own thing. So the avoidant attachment style usually stems from caregivers that are not responsive to you when you're an infant. So they're dismissive, they're distant from you, they're constantly giving you silent treatment, they're consistently emotionally disconnected, they're literally in their own world. They're emotionally not available for you at all. They're not there for you, they're not supportive of you, they're not encouraging you, they're not inspiring you. And it makes you feel as a child that your needs won't be met. Like no matter what you do, it's never going to be good enough. Like no matter how much you try, they just won't get it. They just won't see you. They just won't receive you as you are. And so that's why you go into becoming overly independent, because you feel like no matter how much you do out there, it's never going to be met. So you just start to meet all of your own physical and material needs on your own. Because as infants, that's literally what we need from them, right? We need the physical, we need the material needs to be met. We need them to emotionally be there for us. We need them to mentally be there for us. We need them to literally wipe our butt. So you get so independent to the point where you don't want help from anybody. And you completely shut other people out. And you may meet your needs in certain areas in a very strong way. So you may have your finances down pat and you're great at, working yourself to the bone, and you're great at burning yourself out. And, you might be independent in the area of independent in material needs, independent in meeting your material needs, your ability to feel stable and safe on this planet and secure in terms of, I've got a house, I've got a car, my finances are good, I've got a job that I go to every day, I'm all sorted. But in terms of meeting your own needs on a psychological level, on a mental level, maybe you might be dismissing yourself or avoiding those aspects of yourself that require more love, more attention, more care. You might have completely submerged yourself into the physical reality and disconnected from your spiritual nature and your need for solitude and your need to connect with Source and the Divine, and therefore connect with others. So again, this can be where you put up extreme boundaries. You can put up walls. You can almost cage yourself in by putting up walls so high that even if people tried to climb them, they'd be exhausted halfway up the wall and they're just going to give up and let you do your thing. So we're going to bring through some healing for the avoidant attachment style so that you can stop avoiding yourself. You can start to get more intimate with yourself. You can start to get intimate with your body, feeling comfortable in your own sensuality, in your own sexuality, feeling comfortable with being vulnerable with your emotions, sitting with your emotions, not running from them, not trying to flee, not trying to avoid them, not trying to reach for the next addiction, but just sitting with it and asking yourself what it is that you need in that moment. Learning to independently coexist, allowing yourself to be independent and be in your own space when you need it, and also allowing yourself to be around other people and enjoy the company of other people. You see, it's only when we can truly enjoy ourselves and love ourselves and enjoy our time with ourselves, within ourselves, that we can truly enjoy others' company. We can truly enjoy others for who they are, for where they're at, whether they're woke, they're not woke, whatever it is, right? It doesn't matter where they are in their consciousness. You can enjoy them and their being for what it is, because you're able to enjoy yourself for who and what you are. So we're going to bring through these codes to help you open up your heart more. Again, it always comes back to the heart space, fam. All of these things, all of the attachment styles, all of the PTSD, all of the trauma, all of the inner childhood wounds, it all comes back down to your heart space and being able to heal the heart space, because the heart is what gets targeted the most on this planet. The heart is your portal of abundance and manifestation. The heart is the portal of your healing and your love, your electromagnetic field. So the more that strengthens, the stronger your field gets, the easier it is for you to attract and align with that which you wish to manifest. We're going to heal your heart space through some of these codes. We're going to help you to align more with a secure attachment style, feeling safe and secure to allow others in, to get close to others, to feel like you can breathe even in a room full of people because you're so centered within yourself that it doesn't matter where you are, what you're doing, who you're around, you're good. Let's begin.
Injaratori naderatas uciriarat angirgit aratori tatasce Hondarros jariana feria tatachu tukurio tatestra Haret andirin durut urut ustin de aratat aste. Han iriata unurut elata ish au yarat arat urat at arupa. Gderat atoshut unurut ut ushti diktarat as anakat ar ut ushurut et enarat as eteriatatat ushja. Are at unur roto sujud rut ushunur tot esera tatek tiriat at statarut undur totosja. Iriat anarahes at aturut urut titirat na dalet is aratat anaroto shuruk ut aratata ushja. Riet seret eniret hasar ut unurutu turiat eret tasar tatatashi iriet idret satarat suru tu juru tu embody your divine intimacy iriet iriet tash uturini te kateret tarat satatreti. It is safe for you to be vulnerable. Tre suru tu it is a superpower. Tre niera tatasere taratasa aratush unurit tera tatasare terata shitting you can trust yourself. You can trust in the divine. You will always be led for your highest good. Allow the walls to dissipate. Free yourself from the cages. You no longer need these limitations. It's time for you to coexist. Immerse yourself in enjoyable feelings of divine connectedness. And feel this connection and communion among all things. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And the very last attachment style that we are going to discuss is fearful avoidant attachment style, which is also associated as disorganized attachment style. And this is a combination of both of the anxious and the avoidant attachment styles, so the ones that we just spoke about. So anybody with a fearful avoidant attachment style will experience really craving connection, desperately wanting affection, but avoiding it at all costs. So you're kind of, again, it's that cognitive dissonance, really wanting to feel loved, to be around people, to connect with people, to be social, to be out there, to have that deep sense of belonging, but also avoiding it at all costs out of a fear of being hurt, betrayed, rejected, abandoned, cheated on. So all of the things that you experience in attachments of anxiousness and avoidance are part of fearful avoidant attachment. It's also very, very much fear-based, so it resides in a much lower frequency, and therefore it's more difficult for you to develop and attract healthy romantic partnerships and relationships, healthy friendships, healthy relationships with your family situations, especially in dysfunctional family dynamics. And you feel this really strong urge and need to be loved by others, but at the same time, you're so afraid of it that when you're finally feeling love from others, or when you're feeling that affection or that true unconditional love coming from the outside, because you may not have fully embodied it from the inside, you're not used to that vibration, and then you'll automatically, whether you do it consciously or unconsciously, your energy field will automatically and instantly repel that vibration. So you'll reject it without even knowing you're rejecting it. You'll self-sabotage without even consciously realizing at times that you're actually self-sabotaging. And it's because your energy field, your electromagnetic field, has some tears, it has some gaps, some leaks that are allowing
lower vibrations to still be present in your field. So really strengthening that heart space, really working on repairing those energetic wounds, tears, and ruptures within your energy field, within your electromagnetic field, strengthening that bond and that connection that you have with yourself and with the divine is really going to start to send out that signal where you're no longer going to be repelling love, but you're going to be inviting it, you're going to be attracting it, you're going to be a magnet for soul deep love and passion, because you've aligned to that intimacy, you've aligned to that sacred vulnerability. You've aligned to passion within yourself. You're passionate about your life. You're passionate about yourself. You're passionate about the things that you do in life. See, when you do things in life that you're passionate about, you automatically start to embrace that inner passion. You become a magnet for it on the outside. So as a fearful avoidant, which is also the disorganized attachment, it's also associated with significant psychological and rational risks. So including heightened sexual behavior. So you might go into the toxic side of sexuality rather than embodying your divine sexuality. An increased risk for violence and a difficulty in regulating your emotions in general. So you may become violent and you may start to act out in your relationships because you don't know how to deal with the magnitude of the emotions that are going on inside. You don't know how to deal with being vulnerable. You don't know how to be vulnerable and voice yourself. So it starts to tend to come out in really overt displays of your emotions. So violence and abuse and getting your pain out through anger or episodes of anger or tantrums or just, some form where you feel like you're emoting because you haven't been allowing yourself to emote in healthy and regulated ways. And this is because the fearful avoidant attachment style comes from an environment that was influencing disorganized attachment all around you. So dysfunctional, toxic family environments, caregivers who were frightening and traumatizing or who tried to scare you into submission, scare you into obedience. And that would have left a really traumatic imprint on you as a child where you felt this deep sense of fear and you could not trust others despite wanting to trust the people that you love, trust the people that you really care about, trust your family, trust your parents, trust your caregivers, trust your spouse, trust your friends. Because of the trauma that you experienced, because the people around you were so dysregulated and they themselves maybe had fearful avoidant attachment style, you then took that upon yourself and internalized it as you couldn't trust anybody. You could not trust anybody outside, even though you wanted to trust them with all your heart. You weren't able to trust them. And you probably felt like you couldn't even trust yourself because you loved them so much, but a part of you was telling you that they're not safe for you, that they're actually abusing you. And so you didn't know how to trust yourself in that moment. And so because of this, again, you're always in that cognitive dissonance, in that pendulum, not knowing if your inner guidance system is actually true and right and real, or if you're just having hallucinations, or if it's just, you're chalking it off to coincidences. So your caregivers could have been extremely neglectful, they could have been abusive, they could have constantly rejected and abandoned you, they could have had very poor boundaries or poor understanding of healthy boundaries, and so you then developed a poor understanding of boundaries. You felt like putting up boundaries was too much, or that people wouldn't love you if you had boundaries, or that if you loved yourself first or put yourself first, it was selfish. And so you're constantly confused about what a healthy relationship looks like with others because you didn't know how to have a healthy relationship with yourself under those influences. It's really difficult for an infant to self-regulate, which is why they need their mother or their father or their primary caregiver, whoever it was for you. And maybe you didn't even have a primary caregiver in that way, or if you did, they were completely absent, they were completely traumatizing, they were completely neglectful of you. And so whatever your circumstances, if you did not feel loved, if you did not feel safe, if you did not feel secure, if you did not feel held when you cried, when you emoted, when you really needed someone to be there for you, then you may have started to internalize it as if something is wrong with you. and that you're not allowed to cry, you're not allowed to emote, you're not allowed to feel, you're not allowed to be vulnerable, you're not allowed to express yourself, and so you just completely contracted. Your heart space, boom, the switch is off. And when you switch your heart off, there goes the light, and now you're pretty much in the darkness and you're embodying the lower vibrations throughout most of your life. And you're attracting low vibrational experiences, you're attracting unhealthy relationships, you're attracting toxic, dysfunctional people, you're attracting narcissistic people because of the energy that's within you. And please don't take this as judgment, because this is all about healing, fam. This is all about realizing and taking responsibility and accountability for the part that we play in the entire play, in the big picture of things. And when we do it that way, when we work inside out, then everything outwardly starts to show up the way that we really want it to. We heal from within. We switch the light back on. The light starts to dissolve the darkness fades away, it fades into the background, it becomes the experience, it becomes the lesson, it becomes the learning, it becomes the teacher. And we in that moment become the student of life. And when we become the student of life, that's where real wisdom is gained, because we know that we just don't know. And only when we know can we do something different. From the level of consciousness that we were at, we could not have done any better. We did the best we could with that information, with that wisdom, with that knowledge, with that level of consciousness. But as you raise your vibration, as your conscious awareness becomes higher and higher, your intuition heightens, your energy centers start to open up, your orjas start working, everything starts to align and balance out and harmonize. Then when you know better, you begin to do better. And that's what this is all about. It's not about feeling shameful. It's not about blaming anybody else. It's not about judging yourself or others. It's about saying, hey, this is what I came to this planet for. To have these experiences, to learn these lessons, to grow, evolve, and expand, to transmute, to transform, to become the alchemist of my own reality. It's so much fun when we take our power back in that way and we realize that we can literally shift and change and transform at any given moment, in any given second. It's just about focus, intention, and the direction of the energy. So we're going to now work on clearing out the fearful avoidant attachment style and anywhere we feel disorganized or disorderly within yourself, so that you can form healthy relationships with others, and most importantly, form a healthy relationship with yourself that's going to mirror back to you in everything on the outer reality. I'm saying this from personal experience, from having been in a state where I really didn't love myself. I didn't even care. I didn't even know how to. I didn't even know what it was. I was always in go mode, hustle, hustle, hustle. To being in a state where I learned that alignment is so much more fruitful for me than any amount of push, force, and shove. That alignment is the divine inspiration behind everything that I am able to receive and deliver. And that it feels so good to be alive when you're aligned. There was a time in my life when I did not feel good to be alive. I can say that out loud now. There was a long time in my life where I did not want to be on this planet, where I did not enjoy and acknowledge this planet for what it is. And now, I feel like I'm not even the same person. I feel like I've lived 100 lives in this one lifetime, because I've been able to experience all of it, and I did the best I could with the level of consciousness that I had back then, and I'm doing the absolute best I can now with the level of consciousness that I have now. And the amount of amazement and the amount of good energy I feel now that I didn't even know was possible back then, all I want to do is share it. Spread it with the ones that I love. Spread it with those who are willing to receive it with an open heart. And bring hope to the lives of those who may have lost hope along the way. Bring inspiration to those of you who have that divine spark within you. It just needs to be tickled. It just needs to be switched on a little bit. It just needs to be reignited. We all have So much beautiful energy within us waiting to be tapped into. And the more of this healing we do, the more we liberate ourselves, we liberate our heart. The stronger we get, the better we get, the wiser we get, the more confident and courageous we get. So with that said, it's time to become fearless and live your life, fam. Really come to life. Be alive in every moment. That's my intention for this transmission, is that you really come to life. Come back to life. Let's begin. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It is done, it is done, it is done. And so it is. So family, just before I go, I know that this has been a really long channeling and transmission, but it's been worth every second. And I wanted to give you some practical tips as well. And I have given a lot during this entire session, but some more practical tips on how you can assist yourself in your own reality in helping yourself to develop a more secure attachment style. So at the beginning we said it's important to identify your attachment styles and your relationship patterns. So until you can identify it, until you actually know what's going on, till you have the information that we've just gone through, then it's a little bit hard to become consciously aware of it. So the first thing is identifying it, becoming consciously aware that yes, there is a pattern, yes, there is a habit, yes, there is a behavioral way of you constantly doing things, a cycle, a loop that you've been on. What is it? Which style does it fit into, or multiple styles does it fit into, and why is it there? Understanding where it stemmed from, how it could have developed, whether it was from infancy or throughout your other relationships, really understanding and analyzing the similar pattern in all of your relationships so that you can break that simulation. And to break that simulation, Work on your self-love, work on your self-esteem, work on putting yourself first, work on caring for yourself and figuring out what it really means to nurture yourself, what it really means to be there for yourself, to be your own mother, your own father, to be your own lover, to be the one that you are looking for in others. Become that one for yourself. Love yourself in that way. Take yourself on dinner dates. Take yourself to the spa. Give yourself that massage, a foot massage before you go to sleep. Massage your hair, do your facial massages, your facial yoga, whatever it is that you do, your affirmations. Put a face mask on and just chill in the tub for a couple of hours. Go for a run, go for a hike. Go and watch the sunset first thing in the morning in a hot air balloon by yourself, for yourself, because you can. And in that, you will learn to love yourself. You will value yourself more because you'll start to develop that sense of inner knowing of the truth of who you are. You'll start to reconnect to your inner child. You'll start to reconnect with your heart space and remember how worthy and valuable you truly are. And like I said before, if it's difficult for you to affirm certain things to yourself, affirm to yourself, I'm beautiful, I'm lovable, I'm worthy, if you haven't actually said those things to yourself before, and if you don't actually feel it on a deep core level, then start with general statements. Everybody deserves to feel loved and valued. Therefore, I deserve to be loved and valued. Just start with general things and work your way up. The next thing is to get in touch with your own needs. So really knowing what you need from yourself and from relationships, from others. Do you need support? Do you need mental and emotional support? Do you need physical support? What areas do you need someone to listen in? Do you need somebody who speaks to you, who acknowledges your truth, who respects your truth? Things like this. When you know what you need, you're able to provide those needs for yourself, and therefore you're able to attract that and magnetize that to you on the outer reality. So really learning to be assertive, setting healthy boundaries. And again, once your electromagnetic field is strong enough and it's strengthened enough because your heart is online and open enough, those boundaries are automatically set by your own energy field. You really don't need to say or do anything. You don't need to fight for it. You don't need to become defensive about it. You don't need to put up a war about it. It just is. People can just feel it and they automatically begin to respect you and respect your energy because you've respected yourself enough to create that kind of energy around you to begin with. So your energy speaks volumes. Your actions and your words, people can act a certain way. People can act nice even when they're not nice. People can act like they're good even when they don't feel like being good. People can say nice things. People can say words of promises and anything like that and not even mean it. But your energy speaks volumes over what you say and over your actions even. So when you get your energy right, it's automatically going to build that energetic boundary around you where people just aren't going to want to mess with you. You're just not even going to attract it. And anytime somebody even tries, it's just going to bounce off your energy field immediately and be transmuted into the light and alchemized into divine gifts and divine blessings for you. So either way, fam, everything is always working out for you. Say that out to yourself. Everything is always working out for me. And the very last thing is, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to seek help. Don't be afraid to go to therapy. Don't be afraid to go to counseling. Don't be afraid to see a psychiatrist. Don't be afraid to talk to a friend about it. Don't be afraid to seek out and get a healing. Don't be afraid for some spiritual guidance therapies. Don't be afraid to do something you've never done. Don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone. Don't be afraid of acknowledging wherever you are at. Be fearless, fam. Therapy, speaking to people, writing it down, journaling, saying it out loud to yourself. I mentioned a lot of this stuff in the video that I made about PTSD and CPTSD. There's some good pointers in there that you can take that will assist you with this particular point that I'm making right now. Anytime you reach out for help, anytime you do something that can help yourself, you're reprogramming yourself. You're creating new circuits, new brain waves, new frequencies. You're sending out new energy, a new vibration. You're changing something that's been on repeat for ages and ages. You're taking that old tape out and you're putting a new, fresh tape in. What are you going to record on this tape? You decide. You hold the power. You hold the key. So never be afraid to start again. You're not starting from scratch this time. You're starting from life experience. Take care. Stay blessed. Stay high vibing. I will connect with you all shortly. Peace.